Reality is a rope pulled taut between two eternal forces. On one side, the wild surge of chaos, the raw force of creation and change. On the other, the steady hand of order, the structure that gives our world meaning. This is not just philosophy, it is the core drama of mythology itself. Across continents and centuries, cultures have personified this struggle in gods and spirits tasked with maintaining the balance. We are about to meet 30 of these extraordinary figures, from serene goddesses of justice to cunning trickster spiders. By the end, you will possess a new framework for understanding the constant push and pull between innovation and stability in your own life. How did a single feather decide the fate of souls? Why would a god willingly sacrifice his own hand? The answers lie in stories that shaped civilizations. Which force do you feel shaping your world right now? This tension is the engine of all existence. To truly grasp the guardians of this balance, we must first understand the forces they are sworn to manage. Chaos, in its mythological sense, is far more than just disorder or confusion. It is the raw, unshaped potential that existed before time, a boundless sea of creative energy from which every star, every mountain, every living thing is ultimately born. It is the spark of invention, the sudden storm that reshapes the land, the unpredictable twist in a story that changes everything. Without chaos, there is no newness, no growth, no surprise. Yet, creative chaos, constantly challenging the status quo. The most fascinating, however, are those who stand precisely in the middle, the mediators whose very purpose is to ensure neither side ever gains the upper hand for long. They are the keepers of the equilibrium. With this map of the cosmic landscape clear in our minds, we can now properly appreciate the first of these extraordinary custodians, a being whose symbol of justice was literally a feather. The feather of Mat was a weight no soul could escape. In the silent grandeur of the Hall of Two Truths, the heart of the deceased was placed upon one golden scale. Upon the other, that single, perfect ostrich feather, the embodiment of the goddess herself. If the heart, heavy with falsehood and wrongdoing, tipped the scales, a fate awaited that the ancient texts describe with solemn gravity. But if it balanced, if it was as light as truth itself, the soul was granted passage into the peaceful field of reeds. This was not merely a test of morality, it was a cosmic necessity. Mat represented the very principle of harmony that held the universe together. Her opposite was not a rival god, but a force, Isfit, meaning chaos, falsehood, and injustice. The Egyptians believed the world was perpetually on the brink of sliding back into that primordial disorder. Every sunrise was a victory for Mat. Every truthful word, every just action, was a brick in the wall holding chaos at bay. This duty fell most heavily upon the pharaoh, who was not just a king but the living embodiment of this balance, tasked with maintaining Mat across the entire land. His rule ensured the Nile would flood predictably, crops would grow, and society would function. To understand Mat is to understand that for the Egyptians, cosmic order and personal ethics were one and the same. The balance of the stars depended on the balance in the human heart. It was a profound, beautiful idea that order is not imposed from above, but cultivated from within through a lifelong practice of truth. Yet, if Mat's realm was one of serene judgment and ethical harmony, our next guardian operates in a domain of fire, thunder, and relentless, necessary conflict. The serenity of Mat's scales gives way to the howling winds of a world born from ice and fire. In Norse mythology, order is not a permanent state but a temporary fortress, constantly besieged by forces of primal chaos. And the guardian of this fragile stronghold is a figure of profound paradox, Odin, the All-Father. He is a god of war who hungers for poetry, a ruler of gods who wanders the world in disguise, a seeker of destiny who knows his own fate is sealed. His entire existence is a desperate campaign to gather enough wisdom, enough power to postpone the inevitable. That inevitable end is Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, a final, cataclysmic battle where the cosmic order will shatter, the world will be consumed, and a new cycle will begin from the waters. Odin knows this prophecy in his bones, so his quest is not for victory but for delay. His most famous sacrifice reveals the heart of this struggle. He journeyed to the well of Mimir, a source of cosmic knowledge buried beneath the roots of the world tree. The guardian Mimir demanded a price for a drink from those waters. Odin's payment was his own left eye. He plucked it out and dropped it into the well. This was not an act of madness, but one of brutal, calculated exchange. He traded a part of his perception of the present world for foresight into the future. He gained the ability to see the threads of fate, to understand the movements of giants and monsters, all to strategize, to build defenses, to muster forces against the coming storm. This is why he presides over Valhalla, the great hall of the slain. The warriors who feast there are not merely honored, they are being recruited. Odin is assembling an army, the Einherjar, for one sole purpose, to stand with the gods on that final, fateful day. Think about the immense weight of that. Every battle on Earth, every fallen hero, is quietly being marshaled for this ultimate, defensive war against chaos. Odin thus becomes the ultimate embodiment of a terrifying truth. Sometimes maintaining a balance against overwhelming disorder requires methods that are themselves chaotic, painful, and steeped in sacrifice. He uses cunning and deception. He pays with his own flesh. He manipulates the very course of human conflict, all in service of preserving a fragile order for one more day, one more season. He is a god who understands that to fight the abyss, you must sometimes stare into it and pay a price to learn its secrets. This theme of a stabilizing figure enduring profound personal loss for a greater balance finds a startling echo far from the Norse fjords, in the vibrant, complex pantheon of the Aztecs. From the violent birth of worlds, we find a god who performed his creative act not in the open sky, but in the secret dark, deep beneath the streets of Rome and in the hidden caves across the empire. Followers of the Mithraic mysteries gathered in subterranean temples called Mithria. Their central icon was not a statue for quiet prayer, but a scene of astonishing action, the Tauroctony. In it, the god Mithras, often depicted in his distinctive Phrygian cap, is captured in the moment of driving a dagger into the neck of a great cosmic bull. A scorpion and a dog often reach for the flowing blood, while a snake slithers nearby. To a modern eye, this might seem purely like an image of conquest or violence. But for the initiates who spent years ascending through 7 sacred grades, this was a picture of the universe's very origin. The bull represented the untamed, primal substance of chaos, a force of immense potential but also of formless danger. Mithras did not slay it out of anger or sport. His act was one of sacred necessity, a controlled, ritualized intervention. From the bull's blood and its life force spilled upon the earth sprang forth all the plants and animals that sustain life. Its soul ascended to become the guardian of the heavens. This was the ultimate act of creative destruction, where a deliberate, focused application of force upon chaos itself yielded the bounty of the ordered world. Mithras was a god of contracts, of oaths, and of the invincible light of the sun. His myth explained that the structured reality we depend upon, the turning of the seasons, the fertility of the soil, the very path of the sun across the sky, was not a given. It was a hard-won achievement, established and maintained through a divine pact enacted in this primordial moment. The structure of the cult itself mirrored this. It was a closed, all-male fraternity built on absolute loyalty, strict discipline, and a clear hierarchy, reflecting Mithras's role as the divine enforcer of both cosmic and social harmony. To be initiated was to align oneself with the principle that order is not passive. It is an active, ongoing victory over entropy. It must be chosen, sworn to, and defended. The message was profound. Stability and life itself are born from an encounter with the wild, but it is an encounter that must be guided by purpose and sacred intent. Where Mithras establishes order through a decisive, singular act of focused force, our next guardian weaves it patiently, thread by thread, from the very substance of confusion itself. The well of Mimir, where Odin sacrificed his eye, is not the only secret beneath the world tree. Far below its soaring branches, where three immense roots drink from separate springs, sits a quiet, powerful trio. They are the Norns, Verdandi, and Skuld, whose names mean fate, present, and what shall be. Their work is not warfare or sacrifice, but a patient, eternal weaving. From a shimmering well called Urd's Well, they draw water each day to nourish the roots of Yggdrasil itself. This is no simple chore. The health of the great ash tree is the health of all 9 worlds. A root left dry could cause a realm to wither, a branch to crack. In this daily act of care, the Norns perform their most vital duty. They maintain the very structure of cosmic balance through attentive, constant nurture. But their greater art is spun from threads only they can see. They weave what the Norse called weird, the tapestry of destiny. Each life, from the mightiest god to the smallest mortal, is a thread in their endless loom. This is where their nature becomes fascinatingly distinct from other fates we might know. The Greek Moirai, for instance, are often seen as inflexible, cutting a thread when its time is done. The Norns are different. Their weaving is dynamic, responsive. As they spin, they incorporate the choices made by gods and men, the sudden turns of courage or cowardice, the oaths sworn and broken. The orderly pattern of the tapestry is constantly being altered by the chaotic, unpredictable threads of free will. They represent a profound idea that balance is not a fixed point to be achieved and locked away. It is a living, breathing process. It is the continuous act of weaving together everything that has happened, everything that is happening now, and everything that might yet come to pass. This means that even the ultimate chaos, Ragnarok, the doom of the gods that Odin fights so hard to postpone, is not a mistake or an aberration in their design. It is a dark, integral part of the pattern, a necessary unraveling that makes room for the new world said to rise from the sea. The Norns teach that true order is not the absence of chaos, but a pattern so vast and complex that it can include chaos within its design. Their silent work guides us to a figure who does not just include chaos in the pattern, but who wears it as a mask, dancing on the very line where creation and mischief meet. The patient weaving of the Norns finds its most dynamic expression in a single, furious dance. In the heart of Hindu cosmology, where the universe breathes in an endless cycle, one deity does not merely manage the balance between chaos and order. He is the balance. Shiva, the destroyer, completes the sacred trinity alongside Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the preserver. To call him merely a destroyer, however, is to profoundly misunderstand his role. Imagine a vast forest choked with ancient, towering trees that block all light from the forest floor. No new life can sprout. Shiva's function is the wildfire that rages through, reducing the old giants to ash. This seems like pure chaos, an uncontrollable force of loss. But from that nutrient-rich ash, bathed in newfound sunlight, springs an explosion of new growth, more diverse and vibrant than what came before. Shiva's destruction is never random or malicious. It is a necessary, purifying force that clears space for the next act of creation. Without him, the cycle ceases, the universe becomes stagnant, and order itself becomes a prison. This cosmic function is captured in his divine performance, the Tandava. This is not a gentle dance. It is the very rhythm of reality, a furious whirl of movement that simultaneously dissolves old, rigid forms and releases the raw energy needed to build anew. Every spin shatters a galaxy, every stamp births a star. He embodies the idea that controlled chaos is not the enemy of order, but its essential partner. Shiva's very appearance is a lesson in transcending duality. He is the supreme ascetic, deep in meditative order, his body smeared with the ashes of the burned-out universe. Yet he is also the wild lord, adorned with serpents and a crescent moon, dancing in cremation grounds, places that represent the ultimate dissolution of form. He holds within himself both the serene structure of yoga and the untamed force of transformation. This paradox culminates in his third eye, a symbol of ultimate insight. It remains closed in tranquility, but when opened, it does not see, it incinerates. It burns away illusion, falsehood, and the dense overgrowth of spiritual disorder, reducing it all to the fundamental, simple truth. Shiva's teaching is stark and beautiful. To seek true balance, we must not fear destruction in its many forms. The end of a habit, the collapse of an outdated belief, the passing of an era, these are not failures of order. They are the sacred, sometimes terrifying, fires that make renewal possible. This profound acceptance of cyclical dissolution as a creative force resonates far beyond the Himalayas, echoing in the myths of an entire continent across the ocean. A single obsidian mirror reflects not a face, but the shifting patterns of fate itself. In the Aztec cosmos, where the world had been destroyed and reborn 4 times, the ultimate guardian of this terrifying cycle was a deity of profound contradiction, Tezcatlipoca, whose name means smoking mirror. He was the omnipotent lord of the night sky, the patron of sorcerers and kings, the source of both boundless fortune and sudden ruin. Unlike Shiva, whose dance was part of a clear, cyclical trinity, Tezcatlipoca's role was one of perpetual, dynamic rivalry. His eternal opponent was his brother, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the bringer of light, wind, and benevolent order. Their struggle was not a battle between good and evil, but a cosmic engine. Each brother, in his turn, would seize control of a world age, only for the other to eventually challenge and overthrow him, leading to that age's catastrophic end. The first world was destroyed by jaguars, the second by hurricanes, the third by a rain of fire, and the fourth by a great flood. Each cataclysm was not a random disaster, but the direct result of this divine contest. Tezcatlipoca, in this sense, was the necessary chaos. He was the force that ensured no order, no matter how just or beautiful Quetzalcoatl might make it, could last forever. He introduced instability, temptation, and conflict, forcing change upon a universe that might otherwise grow stagnant. Yet here lies the profound paradox. This same god of capricious change was also the master of the Tonalpohualli, the 260-day sacred calendar that dictated the fate of every individual and the timing of every ritual. He imposed a rigid, divinely ordained structure upon the very chaos he represented. His most iconic symbol captures this duality perfectly. Where one of his feet should be, there is often an obsidian mirror, sometimes shown as a smoking surface. This missing foot speaks of a primordial sacrifice, a loss endured during the creation of the world. The mirror, however, is the key. Obsidian was used for scrying, for seeing the unseen. It did not show a perfect reflection, but a distorted, smoky truth. Tezcatlipoca reminds us that true understanding, the kind that leads to a new order, often comes from gazing into brokenness, from introspection in the midst of turmoil. He teaches that balance is not a peaceful agreement between opposites, but a tense, creative, and often destructive rivalry. The world exists in the space between his challenging night and his brother's illuminating day. This theme of balance born from opposition finds a quieter, but no less essential, expression in a figure who measured harmony not with a mirror, but with a simple, profound instrument. A spider's web is a trap, a home, and a map of its own making. In the rich oral traditions of the Akan and Ashanti peoples, and later carried across the Atlantic, this is the essence of Anansi. He is not a god of thunder or a lord of mirrors, but a small, clever spider who understands a fundamental truth, that when the established order becomes too heavy, too rigid, or too unfair, you do not meet it with brute force. You outthink it. Anansi is the ultimate trickster, a being who uses chaos not as a weapon of destruction, but as a tool for social engineering. His greatest heist was not for gold or power, but for something far more valuable: stories. In the beginning, all the world's tales belonged to Niame, the sky god, who kept them locked away. Anansi, through a series of brilliantly deceptive maneuvers, managed to capture a swarm of hornets, a giant python, and a leopard, delivering each impossible prize to Niame. His reward was the ownership of all stories, but Anansi did not hoard them. He brought them down to the people. With that single act, he shattered a monopoly on narrative and wisdom, redistributing the very tools of culture, history, and identity. He introduced a beneficial chaos into the social order, breaking a top-down hierarchy and weaving a new, shared web of knowledge. This is the pattern of his legacy. He constantly challenges those who are bigger, stronger, or more powerful, not to conquer them, but to renegotiate the terms of existence. He might trick a lazy turtle into doing all the work, or manipulate a whole village to resolve his own petty dispute. The outcomes are messy, often hilarious, and they always leave the social landscape slightly altered. Anansi teaches that a little disorder, a clever lie, a subversion of expectations, can be a powerful force for justice and innovation. He reminds us that the underdog can rewrite the rules, not by breaking the system, but by understanding its seams and pulling on the right threads. His chaos is creative, social, and deeply human. It prepares us to confront a force where creativity is stripped away, leaving only the formless, endless surge of primordial waters. The creative, social chaos of Anansi's webs dissolves into a far more ancient and formless deep. Before gods, before land, before light, there was only the mingling of two vast waters. In the primordial darkness of Mesopotamian myth, the sweet, fresh waters of Apsu met the salt, bitter waters of Tiamat. Their union was not a battle, but a gentle merging, and from that quiet, boundless chaos, the first generations of gods were born. For a time, a strange peace held. But the younger gods were vibrant, noisy, and full of restless energy. Their clamor disturbed the deep, foundational silence of Apsu and Tiamat. Apsu, the fresh water, grew angry and plotted to destroy his own children to restore quiet. But it was Tiamat, the salt water, the maternal source of all, who initially counseled patience. Chaos itself showed mercy. This makes her eventual transformation all the more tragic and profound. When the younger gods, led by slew Apsu, Tiamat's grief and rage knew no bounds. Her nurturing, generative waters convulsed. She transformed. From the mother of all, she became a monster of vengeance, creating an army of terrible serpents and dragons, and taking the demon King Kingu as her new consort. She was no longer just water. She was the roaring, untamed sea given a terrifying form, a force of pure, undifferentiated chaos rising to reclaim what her order had birthed. The cosmos itself was at stake. The stage was set for a conflict that would define reality. The champion who rose to meet her was not the eldest god, but a younger, clever deity named Marduk. He made a bargain with the other gods. If they granted him supreme authority, he would confront Tiamat and establish a lasting order. His weapons were the four winds and a net, tools to ensnare and disorient the formless. Their battle was the universe's defining moment. Marduk rode his storm chariot into her gaping maw, driving the winds inside her to distend her body, and then shot an arrow that split her heart. With her colossal form defeated, he performed the ultimate act of cosmic architecture. He split her carcass like a giant shellfish. One half he raised high to become the vault of the heavens, the other he pressed down to form the foundation of the earth. From her eyes, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowed. Her body became the ordered world. This is the core revelation of Tiamat's story. The very structure of reality, the sky above and the ground below, is not naturally occurring. It is carved violently and deliberately from the body of primordial chaos. Order is not a gentle emergence, it is an imposition. It is a victory that requires the defeat and transformation of the nurturing source from which all life, even the victors, originally sprang. Tiamat embodies a difficult, essential truth. The force that threatens to overwhelm us with disorder is the same force that gave us being. The chaotic sea is both womb and abyss. Her myth asks us to remember that our stable world is built upon a foundation that was once wild, generative, and terribly alive. This theme of mastering the chaotic waters finds a gentler, but no less vital, expression in a figure who does not split the sea, but calms it, ensuring safe passage across its unpredictable expanse. The sea's salt is the taste of a broken promise. Where Tiamat's body became the world, the Greek ocean remained a living, breathing entity, and its master was a god of terrifying duality. Poseidon, the earth shaker, wielded a trident that commanded both chaos and a strange, brutal form of order. His domain was the Mediterranean, a sea that could be a placid highway for trade one moment and a churning grave the next. This was not a metaphor for the human condition, it was the condition. To build a civilization on the rocky shores of Greece was to live at the mercy of Poseidon's whims. A single thrust of his trident could stir a tsunami to swallow coastal cities, or he could split the earth itself, creating chasms and shaking the foundations of mountains. He was chaos incarnate, a force as untamable and unpredictable as the wild stallions he was also said to have created. Yet he sat on Olympus. He was a chief god, brother to Zeus, the king who enforced a new divine order after overthrowing the Titans. Here lies the profound tension. Poseidon was a pillar of that very order, expected to respect the hierarchy and the allotted spheres of influence. He was obligated at times to grant calm passage to a hero like Odysseus, or to provide a life-giving spring of fresh water to a parched city. His power could be channeled for stability, for fertility, for the benefit of the polis, but his heart was never truly in it. His defining trait was his volatility, his simmering resentment. He felt cheated out of a greater domain, and this grudge constantly tested the bonds of Olympian rule. When he was displeased, the carefully negotiated order of Zeus trembled. His decade-long persecution of Odysseus for blinding his son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, is not just a story of vengeance. It is a case study in how a single, powerful entity within a system can use his sanctioned authority to unleash profound chaos, bending the rules to the breaking point to satisfy a personal slight. Poseidon's chaos is not the creative, generative force of a trickster. It is the reactive, destabilizing fury of a natural disaster. He illustrates a chilling truth about balance. Sometimes the forces of disorder are not external monsters to be defeated. They are senior members of the council, essential to the system's function, who can at any moment choose to unleash the very powers they are supposed to contain. Maintaining balance with such a figure is not about victory, but about constant, tense negotiation and the fragile hope that their anger will remain personal, not cosmic. This delicate, ongoing diplomacy finds its purest expression in a figure whose authority is so absolute, it needs no negotiation at all. The laughter of gods can coax the sun itself from hiding. In the heart of Japanese mythology, the order of the world is not guaranteed by law or force, but by the radiant presence of a single deity, Amaterasu, the sun goddess. She is more than a celestial body. She is the divine ancestress of the imperial line, the source of all political legitimacy, social structure, and the very rhythm of the growing seasons. Her light is synonymous with reason, clarity, and life, which makes her sudden withdrawal one of the most telling myths about the fragility of order. Provoked by the violent chaos of her brother, the storm god Susanoo, Amaterasu did not fight. She retreated, sealing herself inside the heavenly rock cave, Ama no Iwato. Instantly, the world was plunged into an unnatural, permanent night. Not just darkness, but the chaos that flourishes in it. Crops failed, spirits ran wild, and confusion reigned. The other gods realized a terrifying truth. Order is not a default state. It is a conscious, continuous act of participation. The sun does not rise on its own, it must be presented. Their solution was not a battle or a plea, but a performance of irresistible allure. They hung jewels and mirrors on a sacred tree outside the cave, and the goddess Aim no Usium began a riotous, comic dance, stomping on a tub and shedding her clothing, sending the assembled gods into peals of genuine, uproarious laughter. Curious about the source of such joy in the midst of the darkness she had created, Amaterasu cracked open the cave door. Her own radiant reflection, caught in the mirror, dazzled her. In that moment of captivated curiosity, the gods pulled her fully into the world, and light was restored. This story reveals balance as something dynamic and relational. Order can choose to absent itself, and its return is not commanded, but invited through community, creativity, and the sheer magnetic pull of joy. Amaterasu's light ensures the cycles continue, but her myth warns that this harmony depends on a goddess who must never feel so offended that she turns away. It is a balance maintained by reverence, by beauty, and by the constant effort to keep the source of order engaged with the world it illuminates. This idea of a rhythmic, breathing order connects to a force where the very air we depend upon is also the architect of our fate. The air you are breathing right now is a sacred messenger. In the ancient Vedic hymns, the wind was never just weather. It was the visible breath of the cosmos, a deity named Vayu. He ruled the Antariksha, that luminous, restless space between the solid earth and the vault of heaven. This was not empty air, but a realm of constant transit, where clouds journeyed, birds soared, and prayers ascended. Vayu was the lord of this intermediate world, the vital force, prana, that animates every living thing. His essence is the paradox of chaos made essential. A gentle breeze carries the scent of rain and the seeds of new life, a nourishing circulation that sustains the world. But let that same force gather its will, and it becomes a storm that can flatten forests and reshape coastlines. Vayu embodies the idea that the energy required for life is, by its very nature, wild and unpredictable. It cannot be fully tamed, only channeled. This is where his role in the cosmic order becomes fascinating. He is the faithful companion and lieutenant to Indra, the king of gods and enforcer of celestial law. Vayu does not create the order himself, he executes it. He is the dynamic agent, the divine courier. He drives the rain clouds that Indra commands to break a drought. He carries the soma, the sacred ritual drink, from earth to heaven. He sweeps away spiritual and physical impurities, cleansing the path for divine action. In one hand he holds a fan, symbolizing the gentle breath of life, and in the other, a banner, representing his unstoppable, conquering power as the storm. His balance is not one of stillness, but of disciplined flow. The wind must move, it must change, it must sometimes rage for the system to remain healthy. But it must also know when to be a whisper, a carrier, a servant to a larger design. Vayu teaches that some forces of chaos are not opponents to be defeated, but vital energies to be harnessed and directed by a greater wisdom. His invisible, omnipresent influence reminds us that the space between things, the medium of connection and change, is itself a powerful deity. This focus on the medium, the space where law is enacted, leads us to a figure whose domain is not the air, but the very foundation of human justice. The scales of Themis weigh the very intentions of the gods. In the tumultuous aftermath of the Titanomachy, when Zeus and his siblings seized power from the older, chaotic generation, a critical question remained. How would this new rule be any different? Victory through force alone is just another form of tyranny, a chaos of its own making. This is where Themis, a titaness of the old order, steps into the heart of the new. She was not cast into Tartarus with her rebellious kin. Instead, Zeus, the new king, made her his closest advisor. This was a masterstroke of political and cosmic wisdom. Themis personified something far deeper than decrees or punishments. She was divine law itself, the concept of that which is laid down, the inherent right order of the universe. Think of her not as a judge handing down sentences, but as the very principle of precedent, custom, and natural justice that makes any sentence meaningful. Her presence transformed the rule of Mount Olympus from a shaky dictatorship into a legitimate governance. She provided the stable, ethical framework that even Zeus, in all his power, was expected to respect. Her iconography is deliberately revealing. She is often shown blindfolded, not out of ignorance but to signify impartiality, and holding the balanced scales, a symbol so universal it echoes across millennia into our own courts of law. But her legacy is woven even deeper into the fabric of reality. She is the mother of the Horai, the goddesses of the seasons, who ensure the orderly progression of time and the fertility of the earth. And she gave birth to the Moirai, the three fates who spin, measure, and cut the thread of each destiny. This familial line is a profound statement. It tells us that the natural order of spring following winter and the destined order of a life's path both spring from the same source, foundational justice. Themis represents the bedrock. She is the reason the sun chariot runs on schedule and why a sworn oath carries cosmic weight. Without her underlying principle, the active enforcers of balance, the heroes and avenging gods, would have no standard to uphold. They would just be powerful beings imposing their personal will. She answers the question of what keeps the gods in check, and the answer is a law older than they are. Yet, if Themis provides the immutable framework, who then walks among mortals to ensure its spirit is understood in the messy reality of human life, a single hand willingly placed can hold back the end of the world. In the Norse pantheon, a realm of warriors and cunning strategists, Tyr stands apart. He is not the wisest like Odin, nor the strongest like Thor. His domain is something more foundational, the sacred bond of an oath, the solemn structure of law, and the clear justice of the thing. In a universe hurtling toward a chaotic finale, Tyr represents the principle that some promises must be kept, even with the enemy. This principle faced its ultimate test with the arrival of Fenrir, a wolf cub of such terrifying destiny that the prophecies foretold he would one day kill Odin himself. The gods watched him grow not as a pet but as a looming catastrophe. They knew they could not kill him outright, for such an act would violate the sacred laws of hospitality and kinship. Their only option was binding. They commissioned the dwarves to forge Gleipnir, a fetter made of impossible things, the sound of a cat's footfall, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. It looked like a silken ribbon, but its strength was absolute. Fenrir, however, was no fool. He sensed the gods' fear and their trickery. He agreed to be bound only if one of them would place a hand in his mouth as a pledge of good faith. It was a test of their own honor. Who would make that sacrifice? The mighty Odin remained silent. The brave Thor held back. It was Tyr, the god of lawful oaths, who stepped forward. He placed his right hand, his sword hand, into the wolf's jaws. When the ribbon held fast and Fenrir realized he was trapped, he closed his mouth. Tyr lost his hand. In that moment of agonizing sacrifice, the world gained precious time. The wolf was bound and Ragnarok was postponed. Tyr's story is not one of conquest but of contractual obligation. He did not defeat chaos, he negotiated with it, and he paid the price the contract demanded. His sacrifice purchased stability for the cosmos, but it was a stability bought with personal, permanent loss. He became the one-handed god, a walking reminder that the structures which protect us, the laws and oaths that allow society to function, are not free. They are underwritten by the courage of those willing to honor their word, even when it costs them everything. Tyr embodies the sobering truth that sometimes the only way to restrain a force of pure disorder is to offer it a piece of your own order, your own flesh and blood as a guarantee. His empty sleeve speaks louder than any war cry about the true cost of balance. This profound commitment to justice through personal integrity finds a fascinating parallel not in a mythic battlefield, but in a celestial court of law. The first soul to walk the path becomes the eternal guide for all who follow. In the vast cosmology of Hinduism and Buddhism, the journey beyond life is not a chaotic void or a random reward. It is a realm of meticulous, inescapable justice, presided over by a figure who was once just like us. Yama began his existence not as a god, but as the first human being to experience the great transition. Having discovered the way to the other side, he was appointed its righteous king and judge. His role is not to inflict suffering, but to administer the cosmic law of karma with absolute, unwavering fairness. Imagine a vast celestial courtroom. Here, the records of a soul's every action, word, and intention are presented. These are not vague memories, but precise accounts, often visualized as being weighed on divine scales. Yama, assisted by his scribe Chitragupta, who maintains the meticulous ledger, reviews this evidence. The judgment is not about punishment in a vengeful sense, but about consequence and education. Based on the ethical balance of one's life, the harmony or chaos sown through deeds, a soul is assigned an appropriate afterlife. This could be a temporary state of reflection, a period in a heavenly realm of peace, or a new birth tailored for further learning. Yama's entire purpose is to prevent the afterlife from becoming an anarchic, meaningless expanse. He brings the orderly principle of cause and effect into the very heart of mortality's greatest mystery. His existence answers a profound human question: what ensures that a life of cruelty does not end in the same peace as a life of compassion? The answer is a system, a cosmic judiciary. Yama shows us that balance is not merely a physical or cosmic condition. It is a moral and spiritual imperative. Justice itself becomes the ultimate ordering principle, extending the architecture of harmony into dimensions beyond our sight. Where Yama balances scales in a hall of judgment, our next guardian weaves harmony not with ledgers, but with the very fabric of sensory beauty. Every divine weapon begins as a formless idea in a celestial workshop. While gods debate laws and wage wars, the tangible instruments of cosmic balance are forged by a single, unparalleled artisan, Vishvakarma. Known as the divine architect of the gods, his genius lies in transforming the raw, chaotic potential of creation into objects of perfect function and breathtaking beauty. He is the master craftsman who built the resplendent palaces of the gods like Indra's heavenly city, and who engineered the flying chariots that carried deities across the sky. His most vital work, however, is in the armory. It is Vishvakarma who fashions the very tools the gods use to uphold their duties. From the thunderbolt that Indra wields to shatter demons, to the trident in Shiva's hand that channels the force of destruction and creation, these are not merely symbols of power. They are masterpieces of applied cosmic engineering, designed to focus divine will with precision. In some traditions, his role expands to the grandest scale imaginable. He is credited with designing the blueprint of the universe itself, giving elegant, structured shape to the formless potential that existed before time. This makes him a unique agent of order, Where others command or legislate, Vishvakarma builds. His balance is achieved through measurement, geometry, and sublime artistry. He takes the unshaped ore of chaos and, through skill and vision, turns it into a palace, a vehicle, a weapon of justice. He embodies a profound truth that intelligent design is itself a sacred force for harmony. The universe is not just ruled, it is crafted, and its stability depends on the integrity of its construction. His legacy teaches that order can be woven into existence through the patient, brilliant work of making. Where Vishvakarma forges the tools of preservation, the wielder of the most powerful of those tools embodies preservation itself. The preserver does not sleep, he waits. In the vast, breathing rhythm of the Hindu cosmos, where Brahma creates and Shiva dissolves, Vishnu stands as the eternal sustainer. His duty is not to begin the cycle or to end it, but to ensure the delicate fabric of existence remains intact through every age. This is the concept of Dharma, the cosmic and moral order that holds all things in their proper place. Vishnu's work is constant, for the forces of disorder, known as adharma, are always gathering strength. When the balance tips too far, when chaos in the form of a tyrannical demon or a tide of corruption threatens to unravel the world, he does not issue a command from on high. He descends, he steps directly into the fray of mortal history through his avatars, his divine incarnations. Each one is a precise, surgical response to a specific crisis. The epic hero Rama, righteous to his core, incarnated to defeat the demon king Ravana, who had used his great power to overturn the natural and social order. Krishna, the divine statesman and friend, appeared to guide humanity through a period of moral collapse, most famously delivering the spiritual blueprint of the Bhagavad Gita on a battlefield, a discourse on duty in the face of chaos. Even his first avatar, the giant fish Matsya, saved the very seeds of creation from a cosmic flood. These are not distant myths, they are stories of intervention. Vishnu teaches that preservation is not a passive state of being protected. It is an active, participatory force. It requires getting involved, often in messy, human ways, to confront the unique disorder of its time. This dynamic vigilance is captured in his iconic pose of cosmic rest. He reclines upon the great serpent Shesha, whose countless hoods form a protective canopy, as they float together on the causal ocean, the endless sea of unmanifest potential and chaos. This is a profound symbol. Order is not separate from chaos, it is sustained upon it, supported by it, and eternally surrounded by it. The serpent represents the cyclical nature of time itself, and Vishnu's rest upon it shows that preservation is woven into the very fabric of duration. His readiness to rise from that rest at a moment's notice reminds us that balance is not a fortress to be defended, but a relationship to be constantly tended. The world is preserved not in spite of the surrounding chaos, but through a conscious, loving engagement with it. This theme of a deity who maintains balance through a profound, consuming relationship with time itself leads us to a figure whose hunger is the engine of the ages. Time itself coils in the darkness before the beginning. In the secret, mystical teachings known as the Orphic tradition, the first principle was not a god of light or a titan of earth. It was Kronos, a deity imagined as a great, winged serpent with the heads of a bull and a lion. He was not the personification of measured hours, but of unending, cyclical time itself. His consort was Anansi, the absolute force of necessity, of inevitability. Together they entwined in the void, and from their union came the silver egg of the cosmos. When it split, the ordered universe in all its beauty and complexity tumbled out. This is a staggering idea. Before matter, before form, before any struggle between light and dark, there existed the fundamental structure of time and necessity. They are the primordial parents who give chaos a schedule, a direction, a container in which to unfold. The dance of creation and destruction does not happen outside of time. it is the very substance of time made visible. This perspective finds a profound echo in the ancient Iranian faith of Zoroastrianism. Here, the ultimate source is Zurvan, the god of infinite time and space. Zurvan is a neutral, transcendent figure beyond the dualities of good and evil. In a moment of doubt or perhaps sacred longing, Zurvan desired a son. From that desire, twins were conceived within him, Ahura Mazda, the spirit of light, truth, and order, and Angra Mainyu, the spirit of darkness, deceit, and chaos. Both emerged from the same womb of time. This myth reframes the entire cosmic conflict. The forces of order and chaos are not eternal, independent rivals. They are siblings born of the same parent, destined to struggle for a vast but finite age. Their battle is contained, framed within the boundless, patient expanse of Zurvan. What do these time deities teach us about balance? They offer the ultimate, humbling zoom out. From their vantage point, the titanic struggles of gods and the moral choices of mortals are not the whole story. They are events unfolding within a grand, indifferent, and orderly progression. Time is the ultimate arbiter, the stage upon which the drama plays out, and it is a stage that eventually consumes every actor, every empire, every star. Kronos and Zurvan suggest that balance is not a trophy to be won and held. It is the very process of time itself, an endless unfolding where periods of chaos and order are simply different phases of the same eternal cycle. The struggle is real, but it is also temporary within the infinite. This shifts our understanding from seeking a static peace to recognizing the rhythmic nature of existence. Stability and upheaval are not mistakes, they are the inhale and exhale of time's long breath. If these figures represent time as the vast, cosmic container, our next guardian represents something deeply contained, a balance forged not in the heavens, but in the silent, waiting darkness of the earth itself. The very ground beneath your feet is a sleeping giant. Before the gods of Olympus, before the titans of old, there was only chaos, a yawning, formless void. And from that nothingness, the first being to arise was not a sky god or a lord of light, but the earth herself, Gaia. She did not appear upon a stage, she became the stage. From her own boundless body, she gave birth to the starry sky, Uranus, and the rolling mountains, and the deep sea, Pontus. In that single act of self-generation, Gaia performed the universe's first and most vital act of ordering. She provided the solid, fertile foundation upon which every story that followed would be built. She is the ultimate source of life, the nurturing mother whose soil feeds the roots of forests and whose stability allows civilizations to rise. In this role, Gaia is the embodiment of natural, cyclical order, the dependable turn of the seasons, the patient growth from seed to harvest. She is the ground of all being, the literal and metaphorical bedrock. Yet to see her only as a gentle, passive provider is to misunderstand her profound power. This same Earth Mother possesses a terrifying, chaotic aspect. When her husband, the sky god Uranus, grew oppressive, fearing the children she bore him and imprisoning them deep within her, Gaia did not plead, she forged a weapon. From her own hidden minerals, she created a great adamantine sickle and gave it to her youngest son, Kronos. With it, he overthrew his father, casting him back from the earth and severing his connection to her. Later, when the Olympian gods, her own grandchildren, defeated the Titans and established a new rule, Gaia felt her ancient children had been wronged. So she birthed a new race of chaos, the giants, monstrous beings born to storm the heavens and challenge the new order. Gaia's lesson is one of foundational justice. She represents the idea that true, enduring balance is not decreed from the celestial realm. It is rooted in the physical world, in the health of the soil, the purity of the waters, and the right of all her children to exist. When the order imposed from above becomes too rigid, too cruel, or too dismissive of its source, the earth itself will stir. She will unleash a chaotic, cleansing rebellion to tear down the old structures, not out of malice, but to make space for a new, more sustainable harmony. Gaia reminds us that we are not separate from nature's order, we are expressions of it. Our stability depends on honoring the foundation that holds us up, for if we push that foundation too far, it has the power to shake us off entirely. This earthly, visceral source of balance stands in stark contrast to a force that seeks to inscribe harmony not in soil, but in the silent, mathematical perfection of the stars. The sun does not merely rise, it passes judgment. In the Mesopotamian world, where the twin rivers carved their life-giving paths through a land of harsh extremes, the daily journey of the sun was not just a cycle, it was a court proceeding. Shamash, the radiant god of the sun, was the supreme judge of both heaven and earth. As his chariot crossed the sky, his light did more than banish the physical darkness of night. It exposed the hidden deeds done in shadow. His rays were imagined as a great net casting down to ensnare those who broke oaths, cheated in trade, or oppressed the weak. Nothing could hide from his all-seeing gaze. This made him the ultimate guarantor of social order, the divine enforcer of contracts and fair dealings. His emblem was not a gentle symbol, but a saw-toothed knife, a tool for cutting through lies and excising injustice from the heart of the community. Unlike other solar deities who might represent growth or cyclical time, Shamash's primary role was active, ethical intervention. He was petitioned directly by those who had been wronged, and kings would invoke his name in their law codes, claiming their authority to rule justly came from his light. This created a powerful, tangible link in the Mesopotamian mind. The same cosmic force that ensured the reliable rhythm of day and night, that made agriculture and civilization possible, was also the source of moral law. The sun's unwavering path was a promise that truth, like dawn, would always return. Balance was not a hopeful idea, it was a visible, daily certainty enforced by a god who traveled the sky with a judge's eye. His constancy showed that order is maintained not by occasional acts of heroism, but by the relentless, predictable application of light upon darkness and justice upon chaos. As Shamash completed his daily circuit, descending into the western horizon, his work of illumination in the world of the living was done. But the work of maintaining balance in the unseen realms was just beginning, taken up by a figure who would guide his solar bark through the ultimate landscape of silence and mystery. The serpent Apep waited in the endless dark of the Duat, a creature of pure, hungry nothingness. Each night, as the sun god Ra completed his journey across the sky, he did not simply set. He died, his solar bark, now a funerary vessel, descended into the underworld, and the most perilous shift in the cosmos began. Ra's voyage through the 12 caverns of the Duat was not a retreat, but an active, nightly war. His enemy was the embodiment of Isfet, the serpent of chaos who sought to swallow the sun whole, devour the boat, and plunge creation into permanent, formless night. This battle was not a mythic event from a distant past. It was the relentless, daily reality of Egyptian belief. The sun's rebirth at dawn was not guaranteed. It was a victory that had to be earned again and again, through divine courage and the coordinated effort of the entire pantheon. Other gods manned the oars and the sails, while fierce deities like Set stood at the prow, spear in hand, to repel Apep's attacks. This was a cosmic defense system, a ritual performed in the unseen realm that directly determined the fate of the visible world. If Ra failed, time would stop. The Nile would not flood, crops would wither, and society would crumble back into primordial soup. His myth makes a stunning statement. Order is not a permanent state you achieve and forget. It is a condition that must be actively, ritually sustained against an ever-present tide of dissolution. Every sunrise was a collective sigh of relief, a sign that the gods had done their duty once more. This imbued daily life with sacred urgency. The priests performed rituals not just to honor Ra, but to lend their magic to the fight, strengthening the solar bark for its nocturnal ordeal. The pharaoh, as Ra's representative on Earth, upheld Mot through just rule, directly supporting the cosmic effort. Ra's journey reframes balance as a cycle of perpetual, courageous return. It is the ultimate expression of dynamic tension, where stability is not a resting place, but the brief, glorious moment of dawn between the struggles of night. This introduces a guardian whose entire purpose is to embody not the struggle itself, but the precise, mathematical moment of perfect equilibrium that makes the struggle worthwhile. A doorway is the most potent symbol of what is and what might be. In the heart of ancient Rome, presiding over every entrance and exit, was Janus. His unique visage, two faces looking in opposite directions, was not a sign of deceit, but of profound guardianship. One face gazed into the settled order of the past, the familiar world behind the threshold. The other stared intently into the future, a realm of pure potential and inherent uncertainty. He was the god of beginnings, of gates, and of every transition, from the first moment of the new year to the simple act of stepping from your home into the street. This made him the divine manager of boundaries, the keeper of the line where one state of being gives way to another. His domain was the liminal space, the in-between where the structured order of the civilized home, the domus, met the unpredictable chaos of the outside world, the ager. To pass through a doorway was to move from a sphere of controlled safety into one of possibility and risk, and Janus guarded that passage. His role was made literal in the very fabric of the Roman state. His temple in the Forum had a set of gates that served as a barometer for the empire's condition. In times of war, a period of immense societal chaos and external threat, the gates stood open. This was not an invitation for invasion, but a ritual act, allowing the martial energy of the Roman legions to flow forth under Janus's watchful gaze, and perhaps to allow that chaotic energy a sanctioned path out of the ordered city. When peace was achieved, the gates were ceremonially closed, symbolizing that the chaos had been contained, that the boundary between Rome and the world was secure, and that internal order could reign undisturbed. Janus was in effect a divine switch between the two fundamental conditions of the state. His enduring lesson is that balance is not a static condition you find in the center of things. It is most critically managed at the edges, in the moments of change. It requires the dual perspective he embodies, the wisdom to honor what has been built while remaining clear-eyed about what is coming. To navigate any transition successfully, whether starting a journey, a new year, or a new venture, you must be like Janus, respecting the structure you leave behind while vigilantly surveying the unstructured potential ahead. His vigilance at the threshold finds its perfect complement not at another gate, but at the still, warm center it protects. The hearth fire was never allowed to go out. In the bustling agora and the quietest peasant cottage, before any prayer to Zeus for victory or to Poseidon for safe passage, a simpler, more vital offering was made. A pinch of meal, a splash of wine, a few drops of oil were given first to Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. She had no grand temples filled with towering statues. Her shrine was the actual fire at the center of the home, the communal hearth in the city's Prytaneum. This was not a minor domestic detail, it was the bedrock of Greek cosmic and social order. While her siblings waged wars and stirred up storms, Hestia remained. She was the still point, the unmoving center around which the chaos and glory of life could safely whirl. Her flame represented more than warmth and cooked food. It was the literal and spiritual anchor of the oikos, the household, which was the fundamental unit of the entire polis. When a new colony was founded, settlers carried coals from the mother city's hearth to light their own. This act transplanted the very soul of civic order. ensuring continuity amid the chaotic venture of building a new society in a wild land. Hestia's balance was one of profound containment. She did not conquer disorder, she created a circle of calm so strong that disorder could not penetrate its core. By receiving the first portion of every sacrifice, the Greeks acknowledged a profound hierarchy of needs. Before you can seek wisdom from Athena or power from Zeus, you must first ensure the basic, sacred stability of home and community. All epic quests, all political debates, all artistic triumphs began and ended at her hearth. Her power was in her unwavering presence, her gentle refusal to be drawn into the dramas of Olympus. In a pantheon defined by conflict and passion, Hestia's serene constancy was itself a revolutionary force. She proves that the most powerful order is often the one you do not see, the quiet rhythm that holds everything together, making all other action possible. It is the deep, steady breath that allows the body to run. From this sacred, silent center of the home, we find the force that brings order to the noisy, contentious center of the city, the public square where words, not flames, must provide the light. The silent flame of Hestia's hearth gives way to the precise scratch of a reed pen on papyrus. In the Egyptian pantheon, where gods ruled through raw power and cosmic principle, one deity held a different kind of authority. Thoth, the ibis-headed god, did not command the sun or judge the dead. His dominion was over the very systems that made such commands and judgments possible. He was the divine scribe, the lord of wisdom, writing, and magic, and his primary tool for managing the balance was not a weapon but a word, a number, a formula. Where other gods enforced order, Thoth designed it. He provided the intellectual architecture. Consider the restoration of the Eye of Horus, a potent symbol of royal power and cosmic wholeness that had been shattered in battle. It was Thoth who, through meticulous calculation and magical incantation, measured the fragments and reassembled them, making the symbol whole again. This was not a feat of strength, but one of precision. He applied the orderly principles of mathematics to repair a sacred emblem of order itself. His influence extended to the very fabric of time. Egyptian myth tells that he won a portion of light from the moon through a game of chance or clever negotiation, and added these extra 5 days to the solar year. This act brought the chaotic lunar cycle into alignment with the solar one, creating the stable 365-day calendar that governed agriculture, festivals, and the rhythm of the state. Thoth imposed temporal order, turning the unpredictable passage of days into a measurable, predictable system. His most solemn duty took place in the silent hall of two truths. As the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Mat, Thoth stood ready with his scribbled palette. He did not pass judgment, he recorded it. His role was to document the outcome, to inscribe the precise balance, or lack thereof, between an individual's life and the cosmic standard. In that act, he transformed a spiritual moment into a permanent fact, a data point in the cosmic ledger. Thoth embodies a revolutionary idea that the chaotic unknown can be subdued not only by force or faith, but by knowledge. Writing turns fleeting speech into permanent law. Mathematics turns the vastness of the heavens into a predictable chart. Magic, in its Egyptian context, was seen as a science of correct utterance and ritual, a way to impose one's will on reality through structured words and actions. Thoth represents the human and divine impulse to map, to measure, to name. He turns the formless potential of chaos into a structured, knowable universe simply by observing it, quantifying it, and writing it down. His legacy is the profound understanding that before you can balance something, you must first be able to count it. This intellectual mastery of order through strategy, rather than sheer might, finds its ultimate expression in a figure for whom wisdom itself is the battlefield. A goddess can be born from a thought. In the thunderous moment of her arrival, Athena sprang forth from the forehead of Zeus, not as a helpless infant, but as a fully grown woman clad in armor, her spear raised and her gaze clear. This was no ordinary birth, it was the physical manifestation of an idea. The moment divine wisdom itself became a warrior, while Ares, her half-brother, reveled in the bloody frenzy and chaos of battle. Athena's domain was something far more precise: strategic warfare. She represented the application of intellect to conflict, the plan that wins the war before the first sword is drawn. Her favor was not won by blind aggression, but by cunning and foresight. Consider her champion, Odysseus. His decade-long journey home was a parade of catastrophes, a chaos of monsters and vengeful gods. His triumph was never a matter of overpowering these forces. He was no Heracles. Instead, he survived through Athena's gifts: guile, disguise, patience, and a brilliantly deceptive wooden horse. She guided him to solve problems with his mind, proving that order could be restored through endurance and cleverness, not just strength. This principle extended from the battlefield into the very heart of Athenian civic life. Athena presided over the Areopagus, the ancient high court of Athens, where the most serious cases were tried. Here, justice was not delivered by divine fiat or mob rule, but through structured, reasoned debate. Evidence was weighed, arguments were presented, and a verdict was reached through a lawful process. She brought the order of the courtroom to the chaos of human grievance. Perhaps her most beautiful metaphor, however, is found in her patronage of weaving. At a loom, a skilled craftswoman takes a tangled mass of raw, chaotic threads and, through disciplined technique and creative vision, transforms them into a complex, purposeful, and beautiful tapestry. This was Athena's view of civilization itself, a grand, ongoing project of weaving disparate human lives, talents, and materials into a coherent, functional, and glorious whole. Her city, Athens, was to be that tapestry. Athena embodies a profound truth that the most stable and enduring forms of order are not imposed by crushing chaos, but by outthinking it. They are built through laws that channel human passions, through strategies that anticipate disruption, and through the civilized arts that transform raw potential into lasting beauty. She champions the balance achieved by the wise mind, a balance that seeks not to eliminate the wild energies of conflict and creation, but to skillfully direct them toward a common good. Yet, for every walled city that celebrates such civilized order, there exists the deep, shadowed forest just beyond its gates. The civilized loom of Athena's city was woven from threads sheared from a much older, wilder fleece. Beyond the city walls, in the deep, shadowed heart of the primordial forest, a different kind of balance was kept. Among the Celts, whose world was alive with spirit in every grove and stream, this guardian was Cernunnos, the horned god. You will not find him in grand temples of marble, but carved on stone altars and metal cauldrons, seated cross-legged in a posture of serene power. Antlers, like a living crown of the forest itself, rise from his head. In one hand, he holds a torque, the sacred neck ring of Celtic nobility and wealth. In the other, he often grasps a ram-headed serpent, a creature of earth and mystery. This single image holds a universe of meaning. Cernunnos is the undisputed lord of the wild, the master of animals, the spirit of the untamed wood where human laws fall silent. He is the chaotic, teeming life force of nature itself, unpredictable, fertile, and often dangerous. The forest does not follow a human schedule. It grows, decays, hunts, and breeds in its own ancient rhythm. This is the essential, chaotic abundance from which all human order ultimately springs. The wood for our homes, the game for our food, the herbs for our healing, all flow from his domain. His talk tells the other half of the story. It is a symbol of high status, of material prosperity and social structure. By holding it, Cernunnos makes a stunning declaration: true wealth, the kind that sustains a kingdom, is not created by civilization alone. It is drawn from the wild. The ram-headed serpent coiled in his grip deepens the message, connecting him to cycles of death and rebirth, to the chthonic, underground forces that renew the land. Cernunnos does not represent a nature to be conquered, but a partner to be respected. His balance is one of sacred reciprocity. A community could thrive only by acknowledging its debt to the chaotic vitality beyond its fences. Offerings were left at forest shrines, hunts were conducted with ritual respect, and the forest's bounty was taken with gratitude, not entitlement. He teaches that human order is not the opposite of natural chaos. It is a small, carefully tended clearing within a vast, breathing, and unpredictable wild. To forget that, to believe our walls and laws make us separate, is to sever the very root that feeds us. Cernunnos is the reminder that our stability is borrowed from the wild's endless, cycling energy, and harmony requires honoring the source. This profound connection to the spirit of the living world finds its mediator in a figure who does not just rule the wild, but translates its messages for those who live within the clearing. The land remembers every story ever told upon it. In the vast, ancient narratives of Aboriginal Australia, the dreamtime is not a distant past, but a living, eternal present where ancestral beings shaped the world and its laws. Among these creator figures, one of the most profound is the Rainbow Serpent, known by many names across the continent. Its journey was the first act of ordering. In the formless expanse of the dreaming, the serpent stirred. As it moved, its massive body carved the riverbeds and gorges. Its resting places formed the deep, life-giving waterholes, and its coils pushed up the mountains and ridges. This was not a random act of creation, but a deliberate inscription. The serpent did not simply make the land, it became the land, weaving the physical geography with sacred meaning. Every curve of a river, every shape of a rock, tells a part of its story, making the entire landscape a living scripture of order and origin. This connection means the serpent is the ultimate source of both sustenance and sanction. It brings the precious, life-giving rains that fill the waterholes, ensuring fertility and survival, a clear force of benevolent order. But when the sacred laws of the people, the intricate web of kinship and ritual known as the dreaming law, are broken, the serpent responds. It can summon devastating floods that sweep away the unprepared, a manifestation of chaotic, purifying power. Its role as enforcer is captured in stories where it swallows those who transgress, not to end them, but to transform them. After a time, it returns them to the world, initiated into a deeper, often harder, understanding of their responsibilities. This act is not about punishment, but about education and restoration, forcing a realignment with the fundamental law. The Rainbow Serpent embodies a unity that many other mythologies separate. Here, physical order, moral law, and spiritual power are not different domains. They are a single, inseparable reality. The health of the land reflects the health of the community, and vice versa. Balance is not an abstract concept. It is the practical, daily work of living in right relationship with every rock, tree, and water source, maintained through precise ceremony, song, and story. After the rain, when the serpent arches across the sky in a brilliant spectrum of color, it is more than a weather phenomenon. It is a visible covenant, a reminder of the enduring, reciprocal bond between the people, the ancestral order, and the living land itself. This promise is not passive, it demands active, continuous care. The serpent's lesson is that true harmony is geographic, ethical, and spiritual all at once. Where this being weaves the land and law into one fabric, our next figure measures the individual thread of every life within that grand design. The thread begins as a single, unspun fiber of possibility. In the quiet space beyond even Olympus, where the laughter of gods and the clamor of mortals fades to a distant murmur, three sisters perform their silent, ceaseless work. They are the Mwarai, the Fates. Clotho, the spinner, draws the raw wool from her distaff and begins to twist the thread of a new life. Lachesis, the measurer, takes that thread in her hands, assessing its length, its twists and turns, determining the portion of destiny allotted. Finally, Atropos, she who cannot be turned, waits with her shears. When the measured length is done, she cuts cleanly and without hesitation. This is the ultimate bureaucracy of existence, an inescapable, impersonal order that governs every being from the lowest mortal to the thunderous king of the gods himself. Their decrees are not suggestions, they are the bedrock of cosmic law. Even Zeus, for all his power, cannot overrule Atropos's cut. He may rage, he may bargain, he may try to bend the thread, but he cannot snap it. This places the often chaotic, passionate, and wildly personal dramas of the Olympian family within a sobering framework. The gods may stir up storms of emotion and conflict, but they do so against a backdrop of fixed limits and certain ends. The fates represent a balance of a different kind, not between chaos and order, but as the very architects of the order within which all other balances must be struck. They are the ultimate administrators, keeping the ledger of life and death with an accounting so precise it admits no error and no appeal. Their power brings a strange kind of peace to the chaos of lived experience. Within the apparent randomness of fortune and tragedy, within the whirlwind of choices and chances, there runs this single, unbroken thread of necessity. It is a framework that gives every story, no matter how turbulent, a beginning, a middle, and an end. The moi, I teach that some forms of order are not meant to be challenged or negotiated. They are the stage upon which the drama unfolds. They remind us that limits are not the enemy of a meaningful life. They are what give it shape and urgency. Yet, if the fates represent the unyielding architecture of destiny, the very idea of a fixed thread demands a counterpoint, a force that delights in fraying the edges, in introducing a wild card into the most carefully measured design. The thread of fate can be snapped by a sudden, unexpected gust of wind. In the orderly world of Roman ambition, where legions marched to precise plans and senators debated laws of logic, there stood a temple where all certainty dissolved. This was the domain of Fortuna, the goddess whose very essence was the chaotic, exhilarating spin of random chance. Her most powerful symbol was not a sword or a set of scales, but a wheel. The rota fortunae, the wheel of fortune, was in constant, unpredictable motion. At its top sat a king in all his glory, but with the next turn he could be flung down into the mud, while a beggar from the lowest point was raised up to rule. This was not a story of justice or merit, but of pure, uncaring luck. Fortuna was often depicted blindfolded, not because she was ignorant, but because her gifts and her punishments fell without sight, without reason, and without any regard for the careful structures humans and gods tried to build. She represented the fundamental truth that no plan, no matter how brilliant, and no order, no matter how just, is immune to a random twist of fate. A sudden storm could sink an entire fleet. A chance discovery of a document could topple an empire. A lucky break could save a life on the brink. The Romans, masters of engineering and law, understood this deeply. They built temples to Fortuna not to curse her, but to honor her necessary role. Her chaos served a vital function in the cosmic and social ecosystem. By constantly reshuffling the deck of destiny, she prevented any hierarchy from becoming permanently frozen, any power from growing so absolute it could never be challenged. She was the divine agent of disruption who kept the system from becoming a prison. To acknowledge Fortuna was to accept a humbling, liberating reality. Human effort and divine order set the stage, but the final act was always subject to the whims of the spin. This did not lead to fatalism, but to a particular kind of wisdom. Fortuna's lesson was about resilience. Since you cannot control the wheel, you must learn to ride its turns, cultivate adaptability, fortify your spirit against sudden loss, and practice humility in moments of great success, for the wheel is always turning. Her presence in the pantheon was a profound admission that chaos is not an external monster to be slain, but an intimate, constant companion on the journey of life. True balance, therefore, is not a fortress against chance, but the flexible strength to stand upright within its ever-changing currents. If Fortuna embodies the chaotic principle of random luck that scatters our carefully laid plans, then the force that follows represents a far more focused, intentional, and terrifying form of dissolution. The desert wind does not build, it scours. In the stark duality of ancient Egypt, where the fertile black soil of the Nile Valley represented life and order, the endless red sands beyond were the domain of Set. To label him simply a god of evil is to misunderstand a profound and necessary paradox. Set was the embodiment of the hostile, chaotic forces that surrounded the island of civilization. He ruled the deserts where nothing grew, the violent storms that darkened the sky, and the foreign lands that lay beyond Egypt's understanding. His very existence defined the border of mad by showing what lay outside it. He was the constant, abrasive test. Without the threat of the desert, the Nile's gift would not be so precious. Without the concept of the foreign other, Egyptian identity would have no edge. Set was the chaos that gave order its shape and its value. This role took on its most vital form under the cover of night. As Ra's solar bark journeyed through the perilous Duat, the greatest threat was the serpent of pure nothingness, Apep. And who stood at the prow, spear in hand, to repel this ultimate chaos? It was Set. The Egyptians believed his wild, untamable strength, the very force that made him dangerous, was the only weapon potent enough to fight the formless void. In this sacred context, controlled chaos became the essential guardian of cosmic order. Set's most famous myth deepens this paradox. His murder of his brother Osiris was an act of profound betrayal and disorder, shattering the kingship of the world. Yet from that violent, chaotic act emerged a sequence that established a new, more complex harmony. Osiris did not simply vanish. He was resurrected as the righteous king of the afterlife, providing a template for eternal order beyond death. His son Horus eventually claimed the throne of the living world, but not before a prolonged conflict with Set that was settled by divine tribunal. The resolution did not involve Set's annihilation. Instead, he was acknowledged as a necessary power, given dominion over storms and the frontiers, and in some versions made a member of Ra's celestial crew. The story reveals a sophisticated understanding of balance. Set's internal strife within the divine family was not a flaw to be eradicated, but a dynamic tension that forced evolution. His chaotic energy prevented the order of Osiris from becoming a static, unchanging rule. It introduced conflict, challenge, and ultimately, transformation. Set embodies the uncomfortable truth that a perfectly harmonious system, with no internal friction or challenge, risks becoming sterile and incapable of adaptation. A measure of contained, purposeful chaos within the system acts as both a defense against external dissolution and a catalyst for internal renewal. He is the necessary storm that clears the air, the desert that makes the oasis sacred, the rival whose opposition defines the champion. Through Set, we see that balance is not a peaceful agreement, but an active, often contentious, collaboration with the disruptive forces that dwell even within the family of order itself. This journey through the guardians of equilibrium brings us to a final, deeply personal arbiter, a figure who measures not the cosmos, but the intricate landscape within a single human heart. A three-way crossroads in the dead of night was her sacred altar. In the orderly pantheon of Olympus, where gods ruled defined domains, Hecate existed in the spaces between them. She was the ancient Titaness of magic, the moon, and the unseen, who alone kept her vast authority after the Olympian victory. Zeus himself granted her a unique portion, a share of the earth, the sea, and the starry sky. This made her a universal sovereign, a mediator who could walk freely through every layer of reality, from the structured world of the living to the chaotic realm of the dead. Her true power, however, was concentrated at the liminal points, the thresholds where worlds and choices intersected. The crossroads where one path splits into three was her most potent symbol. This was not just a physical junction, but a metaphysical one, a moment of suspended possibility where destiny hangs in the balance. Here, at the convergence of order, chaos, and the unknown path, Hecate stood guard. With twin torches held aloft, she did not banish the darkness of uncertainty, she illuminated it. For those who approached with reverence, who understood that life is a series of transitions to be navigated with care, she offered guidance, protection, and the hidden wisdom of her magic. She could reveal the way forward through life's most chaotic trials. But for the arrogant, for those who sought to cheat the natural balance of forces or disrespect the sacred boundaries, her light could become a terrifying glare, leading not to clarity, but to madness and ruin. Her companions were the ghosts of those who died untimely deaths and the restless spirits of the underworld, entities of pure chaotic memory that she alone could command and appease. Hecate's role was that of the ultimate gatekeeper of the in-between. She teaches that the most critical moments of balance occur not in the safety of the city center or the wild heart of the forest, but at the gates, the doorways, the crossroads. Managing these transitions requires a special kind of knowledge, an understanding of the hidden laws that govern change itself. It demands respect for both the illuminating torch and the concealing shadow, for the structured path and the wild one not taken. Hecate embodies the sophisticated truth that to navigate a world of both order and chaos, you must become fluent in the language of the threshold. With her torches still glowing in our minds, we have now met all 30 of these extraordinary arbiters, from the serene scales of Mat to the wild crossroads of Hecate. Their stories span the globe and the ages, yet they whisper to a single, universal human experience. We look at our own world, at the push and pull between innovation and stability, between tradition and change, between the plans we make and the unexpected winds of fortune that reshape them. These are not modern problems, they are the oldest drama of existence, framed in epic terms by every culture that sought to understand its place in the cosmos. The figures we have explored offer us more than myth, they offer a lens. Through them, we see that balance is never a final achievement, but a continuous, dynamic practice. It is the daily choice to honor the structures that sustain us while remaining open to the creative chaos that helps us grow. It is the courage to stand at our own crossroads, to hold our own torch, and to choose a path with both wisdom and respect for the powerful, unseen currents that flow through every decision. Their legacy is not a set of rules, but an invitation to recognize the sacred tension in all things, and to find our own way of weaving a little more harmony into the grand, unfolding tapestry. A feather, a hand, a dancing flame, a silent serpent in the dark. These are not random symbols, but the vocabulary of a shared human understanding. After meeting 30 guardians from every corner of the ancient world, a stunning realization dawns. Separated by vast oceans and millennia, cultures who never knew each other were all telling variations of the same fundamental story about reality. They were mapping the same psychological and cosmic landscape, using different names and masks for the same eternal roles. This is where myth transcends mere folklore and becomes a profound language, a collective dream humanity has been having about its own place in the universe. The first universal pattern is the nature of balance itself. It is never depicted as a perfect, frozen state of peace. It is a verb, not a noun. It is the active, daily maintenance performed by Ra's solar bark, the constant weaving of the Norns, the vigilant watch of Janus at his gate. Balance is a process, a practice, a continuous negotiation. It requires energy and attention because the forces it manages are always in motion. The second pattern is the cost of this equilibrium. True balance often demands a sacred exchange, a sacrifice that underwrites the stability of the whole. Odin trades his eye for foresight. Tyr offers his hand to bind the wolf. Mithras performs the controlled, ritual act that transforms the wild bull into fertile life. These are not tales of loss but of profound investment. They teach that the structures we depend upon, from cosmic order to social trust, are not free. They are purchased with something precious, a reminder that harmony has a price and someone or something must be willing to pay it. We also see the same archetypal roles appearing again and again, like essential characters in a global play. There is always the threshold guardian, like Hecate or Janus, who manages the perilous, potent spaces in between. There is the divine judge, like Mat or Yama, who upholds an inescapable standard of justice. There is the creative destroyer, like Shiva or Tezcatlipoca, whose necessary dissolution clears the way for new growth. And there is the trickster innovator, like Anansi or Loki in his more complex roles, who uses clever chaos to challenge rigidity and redistribute power. These are not just gods, they are functions, necessary positions in the cosmic ecosystem. Each plays a part in preventing the whole system from seizing up or flying apart. Perhaps the most profound shared insight is the reassessment of chaos itself. Across these stories, chaos is rarely pure evil. It is the raw material of creation, the generative waters of Tiamat, the unspun wool on Clotho's distaff. It is the unpredictable wind of Fortuna that reshuffles fate, and the wild vitality of Cernunnos's forest that feeds civilization. Chaos is the partner, not merely the opponent. The myths suggest that a world of perfect, unchanging order would be a dead world, a museum without a future. The dynamic tension between the two is what makes life, art, and growth possible. This leads to the final, crucial pattern: human participation. These myths were not abstract philosophy for the elite. They were lived reality. They told people that their actions mattered in the grand scheme. By living truthfully, they upheld Mat. By performing rituals, they lent strength to Ra's nightly battle. By honoring the hearth, they maintained Hestia's calm center. The balance was not just out there, it was in here, in every ethical choice, every act of reverence, every respectful interaction with the wild and the unknown. These stories provided a blueprint for how to live in a universe that is both beautifully ordered and terrifyingly unpredictable. They gave meaning to the struggle and dignity to the participant. So what do we do with this ancient language today, in a world lit by screens instead of hearth fires? That shared language of myth is still spoken today, not in temples but in the choices we make every single day. The stories of Mat's feather, Shiva's dance, and Anansi's clever tricks are far more than ancient tales. They are enduring maps drawn by countless generations for navigating the very same forces of chaos and order that shape our modern world. Think of a personal challenge, a sudden shift in your career, a loss that reshuffles your entire life. That is your encounter with the chaotic deep, your personal Apep rising from the dark. And your response, the way you rebuild routine, seek support, or find new meaning, that is your act of weaving order, your own nightly voyage through the duat. On a global scale, we see it in the tension between revolutionary innovation and the need for stable systems, between the urgent call for change and the wisdom of preserving what works. These are not new conflicts, they are the oldest story there is, now playing out on a planetary stage. What these myths offer is not a solution, but a profound shift in perspective. They teach us that resilience does not come from building a fortress against chaos, but from cultivating the flexible strength to adapt within it, like a tree that bends in the storm but does not break. They show us that true justice is not the triumph of one side over the other, but the careful, continuous work of balance, of weighing competing needs with the clear-eyed fairness of Mat's scales. And they reveal that the deepest wisdom lies in understanding the necessary, sacred role of both structure and change. The rigid order of a schedule gives our days meaning, but the spontaneous moment of inspiration is what fills them with life. The stability of tradition grounds us, but the creative chaos of a new idea is what moves us forward. As we face our own modern monsters, the apeps of uncertainty, of conflict, of overwhelming disorder, we can draw on the symbolic power of these 30 figures. They become allies in our imagination. When you feel the ground shifting beneath you, remember Gaia, the unshakable earth, and find your foundation. When you are navigating a difficult transition, call to mind Janus at his gate and look both to your past wisdom and your future path with equal clarity. When you feel small against a powerful system, think of Anansi and look for the clever thread to pull. Let this exploration be a starting point for your own reflection. Look at the balance or the tension in your own life right now. Which of these ancient guardians speaks to you? Does the patient weaving of the Norns resonate, or the decisive action of Mithras? Perhaps it is the serene center of Hesper's hearth, or the transformative fire of Shiva's dance. There is no single answer because the balance is different for every soul and every season. We would love to hear which of these balancing forces finds an echo in your journey. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation. If you found this journey through the Guardians of Equilibrium enlightening, consider subscribing. We delve often into the myths and mysteries that have shaped human understanding, uncovering the timeless stories that still guide us today. Thank you for joining this exploration and for seeking balance in your own corner of the cosmos.